chair here. It's not a problem.
Good evening. Welcome back. And take a seat, because this evening we have something very special for you. Now, before I introduce the speaker who's going to come up in a short while, I've got just 2 items on my announcements list. One is that we are live streaming the presentation to YouTube. So please, we need the bandwidth to upload. So please switch off your Wi-Fi. Yeah, that will be extremely helpful. And the second one is that you're on camera. Woo! And the camera is pointing direct towards the stage, and it would be a great if you need to go to the toilet or anything, please go by the sides, not use the center. Would that be okay with you? Okay, thank you very much. So are you ready for the main event? You've seen her before. She's been on this stage briefly before, and it gives me a great pleasure and honor to introduce to you someone who is a continuous learner, because to a certain extent, as they say, confusion is the gateway to learning. To a certain extent, she's confused. With Portuguese background, born and grew up in South Africa, lived in the Mauritius for more than 10 years, now currently residing in Fiji. Totally a woman of the world with more than 10 years experience in sales and marketing in an airline, with a beautiful 18-year-old daughter. It gives me great pleasure to announce to you Sandra.
Thank you, Mr. P. So good evening, everyone. So here we are, NSTT 2019, in the beautiful island of Bali. And while others are outside enjoying the pool and the beach, we are here in this room till 9 p.m. Over 50 trainers from different countries all over the world have come together to learn training skills. And not just any training skills, neurosemantics training skills. Skills that produce outstanding trainers. How does it feel to know that you are one of those? So tonight, I have some good news and I have some bad news. So the bad news is that you are going to be challenged. You are going to be stretched. And you are going to be pushed beyond your skills. Now, some of you may be okay with that, but some of you will not. And the reason for that is that you are going to be taken to places where you're going to be so uncomfortable. Remember? And you are going to feel that you are incompetent of some of the skills and you're still learning and you haven't mastered them. And the danger with that is that this is going to happen. You are going to feel like you are judging yourself. You're going to compare yourself to others. You're going to probably judge the people giving you the feedback and probably take that feedback as harsh criticism. Or even worse, judge the audience, the people in your team. So how many of you have been guilty in the last 4 days of any of that? No. Only 2? Only 3? Really? No. You haven't judged yourself? Wow. Okay. Well, if you want to limit your skills, judge yourself. And if you want to disservice your audience, judge them. I know I did it both at the same time, and it cost me a very important client. And I'm going to tell you how not to do it because I'm going to tell you my story. Do you want to hear it? Yeah. Are you sure? Because I want to make sure that maybe from this story, you may just also save yourself some clients from releasing judgment. But before we get there, there's something that I want to tell you, the good news. And the good news is that right here, right now, tonight, you're going to learn a strategy for releasing judgment. Wow. And when you release judgment, the heavens open with music. So, one thing I want to share with you that was really important for me before we carry on is that not all judgment is bad. Did you know that? In fact, repeat after me. Not all judgment is bad. So tell me why. Not repeat after me. Tell me why is judgment not so bad? Well, good decisions come from good judgments. Making judgments is making decisive evaluations. That's what judgments are. And up until now, you've probably made many in your life. In fact, coming to Bali, you had to decide, do I pack for summer clothes or winter clothes? Do I bring 7 pieces of underwear or 14? Those judgments are simply evaluations that you make. In fact, some judgments even save your life. How many of you have tried to go for a walk in the evening outside the hotel? Anyone? Well, in Bali, you got to really judge when to get off the pavement and when to get back on. So judgments can save your life, but they can also bring you down. When you allow yourself to judge yourself, and when you judge other people, and you're making evaluations about them, especially during training, those judgments are the ones that you want to release. Judging yourself or others is the perfect recipe for dragon states. So, picture this. Day 1 coaching essentials. 28 participants. 11 of them come from the same organization. Lunchtime, I go to my phone. I see 4 missed calls from the CEO that sent 11 people. Oh my gosh. What happened? There's a voicemail. I click play. Bonjour, Sandra, it's Frédéric here. I just speaking to Jean-Luc and Patrice, and they're telling me that the training day now is something to do with metaprograms and representational systems or something like that, and psychology. And you know, Sandra, 11 people are not in the office. It's my managers. I don't know if the training is good. Big problem. Please phone me. We need to discuss this. Heart attack. about to happen. Immediately, I start, oh my gosh, what did I do? What did I do? What happened? What's wrong? Everything was fine in the training room. I knew I shouldn't have spoken so much about Michael Hall and neurosemantics. Now look at them, they're laughing at me. They're probably at lunchtime right now, telling everyone that I'm a useless trainer. Before I know it, Mauritius is so small, the entire island's going to go. I better pack my bags and go back to South Africa. But you know, those guys are such idiots. They didn't even tell me. How dare they? How can they spend an entire morning and behind my back go and phone their boss? What type of managers are those? Honestly, now I have to go in there and face them. So, do you think that state is good? Imagine having that state just about before you go back and do a training. Do you think it's going to be helpful? No. Okay, so let me tell you about that state and how do we release that state? How do you release judgments? And what is releasing? What is releasing? It's letting go. And how do you let go? How do you let go of things, I'm wondering? Some of us like to take a nice deep breath. Do you want to try that? Take a nice deep breath and breathe out. Okay. How many people did that sort of work as a release? Okay, I'm not sure. So I'm wondering, how else do you release? Who can tell me? How do you release? That's what Michael calls a meta flush. So releasing is a part of what it takes in order to release judgment. When you release your judgments, you get unstuck from those states that are not resourceful and that are not going to help you. The lights that really take you away from delivering your best. So, what did I do? So after the phone call, they were still at lunch. I went back to my room, to the training room. I sat at the back and I did that. For me, it works, breathing in. I breathe in and I breathe out. And then I thought, okay, let me take stock. Let me stand back and take stock of this. I can't change what's happened up until now, but I can change how I'm going to react about it. So I need to accept that there's probably some unhappy people in my training room. What am I going to do about it? Well, I heard one version. I haven't heard the horse's mouth, as they say. So what can I do to really get this, make the best out of this situation? So I thought, let me go and speak to them, get them together and ask them what is going on. So I did that. I called them in. In fact, they were at lunch and I said, get your team together and let's have a team meeting to check on things. So when we sat together and I said, so how's the training going? Guess what they all said first? It's fine. It's good. So I thought, okay, I know I'm not going to tell them your CEO. I just heard the voicemail. So I said, okay, so tell me how you're going to apply what you've learned today back at your office. And then I had those blank faces. And then slowly they started saying, I don't know if we can, I'm not sure. And I heard the doubts. And you know what? It opened up for a conversation. And we both made an agreement. I said, okay, I'm going to try and get more application done in some of the activities. And will you commit something to me that by the end of the day, if you think you've had any value that you can take back to your office, then you stay for all 4 days. If not, I will refund you your money and you can go. And that was our agreement. Well, you know what happened? Not only did they find value, they walked out of there saying every single manager needs this training. So they sent their HR lady to my next training, and there she is. She just matriculated from ACMC a month ago with Michael Hall in Mauritius. And together, Janique and I are going to start planning a Coaching Essentials program for the rest of the organization. So, the only reason I managed to do that is because I knew a little bit better, and I knew something called neurosemantics. And do you remember this pattern? Who's a meta coach? Okay. Does this pattern sound familiar? Do you remember it? We do it in ACMC too. And it's a really important pattern for NSTT, and do you know why? Because this pattern releases you to become and allows you to get into your best training state. Do you want that? Do you want a simple 6-step recipe to release judgment so that you can get into your best training state? Yes. Okay, great. So, one question I want to ask you. When you are not judging, what are you doing? Who can tell me? When you are not judging, what are you doing? Observing. Okay, yes. So the other side of judging allows you to observe, to be open, to be curious, to be confident. So that's on the other side of judging. If you want to be in your best trainer state, then non-judgmental is a really key ingredient. Okay, so you've learned this today, right? We've done the what? So, how about some whys? What is this pattern going to do for you? Well, there are 4 things. It's going to give you self-control, confidence, audio connection, audience connection, and best state. So why is it going to do that? Well, if you have a high level of self-control, then you're going to know how. If you release your judgments, you're going to be able to control and manage your state more. If you know how to release judgment and all that's gone out the way, you become a more confident trainer. When you are stuck in your head, have you ever been that stuck in your head with all that judgment, all that thinking? When that happens, you're more free to actually connect freely with your audience. Do you agree? Yeah. Stepping into your best training state is so much more easier when you're not judging others or when you're judging yourself. So think back to today, when you all sat presenting, how releasing your own judgments help you to really perform better. So, are you ready to find out how this pattern works? Yes. You sure? Maybe I should just stop here and not give it to you. So, how does this pattern work? This pattern has 6 easy steps. And in fact, it starts with 4 that are quite important steps. The foundation steps. The first step is experience that judgment. And you think to yourself, okay, what's the judgment that got in the way? The next one is your quality control. So what does that mean? It means that you say, those judgments, are they going to help you deliver your best performance? Are they going to help you to get into your best training state? Do you want them? So that's going to give you an opportunity to do that. Your third step is now you need to access 3 states that you're going to replace the judgment with. And then you have Sandra's MacBook. I think it's just sleeping. Let me wake it up. There we go. It's awake. So step 3 says that you need to access replacing states that you're going to replace the judgment with. So the states that you're going to replace your judgments: observation, acceptance, and curious. And then once you do that, there's going to be a transition. And now that's also an important step. That's where the releasing happens. So when you transition, you release. So you take a deep breath, or some of us helps to think of a balloon. Have you ever had that experience of a helium balloon and it just flies away into the air? So you can picture that, or you picture your meta flush, or you just simply breathe and you release. Once you've done that, then you're ready to do the transition. And that means you're now ready to apply the 3 states to your judgment. And then, at the end, once you've done that, you check, are there any objections? Because you may need to do it again. And the last step is you future pace it. So that's how the pattern works. There's some distinctions. First distinction is